The abduction. The Andromeda Research Station hung silently in the inky void, a beacon of human ingenuity against the backdrop of swirling stellar gases. Inside, 17-year-old Zara Chen peered through an electron microscope, her dark eyes intense with concentration. A strand of her jet-black hair fell across her face, but she didn't bother pushing it away. "Gotcha," she whispered, a smile spreading across her face. The nanobots she'd been working on for months had finally aligned into the perfect crystalline structure. It was a breakthrough that could revolutionize space travel, making ships more resilient to the harsh conditions of deep space. Zara leaned back, stretching her arms above her head. She glanced at the holographic photo on her desk. Her father, Adrian Chen, standing proudly next to his ship, the Stellar Horizon. Adrian was a legend among both humans and aliens, known for his daring explorations of uncharted space and his knack for diplomacy in tense first-contact situations. A sudden tremor shook the station, causing Zara to grab onto her desk for support. The lights flickered, then went out completely. Emergency red lighting bathed the lab in an eerie glow. Warning: unknown vessel approaching. Unauthorized docking in progress. The station's AI announced, its usually calm voice tinged with urgency. Zara's heart raced. This far out on the fringes of explored space, an unknown ship could only mean trouble. She quickly saved her work and headed for the door, intending to reach the station's secure bunker. The lab door hissed open before she could reach it. Zara froze, her blood turning to ice as she saw what stood in the doorway. 3 tall, insectoid aliens loomed over her, their compound eyes glittering in the dim light. Each carried what was unmistakably a weapon. "Human offspring," one of them clicked in heavily accented galactic standard. "You will come with us." Zara backed away, her mind racing. These weren't any species she recognized from her studies. "Who are you? What do you want?" The lead alien stepped forward, mandibles twitching. "We are the Zeractal Consortium. You are leverage." Before Zara could react, a fine mist sprayed from the alien's wrist device. The world spun, and darkness claimed her. Light years away, Adrian Chen stood on the bridge of the Stellar Horizon, overseeing repairs after a particularly harrowing journey through an uncharted wormhole. A priority message alert flashed on his console, its urgent beeping drawing concerned looks from his crew. Adrian's face paled as he read the message. The Andromeda station had gone dark. All attempts at communication had failed. And Zara was missing. He gripped the console, knuckles white. "Prep for immediate departure," he ordered, his voice low and dangerous. "We're going after my daughter." As the crew scrambled to comply, Adrian stared out at the stars. Whoever had taken Zara had made a grave mistake. They'd soon learn why he was considered the deadliest human in the galaxy. The Stellar Horizon's engines flared to life, leaving a trail of blue fire as it rocketed towards the Andromeda sector. Adrian Chen had explored the furthest reaches of space, faced down hostile alien armadas, and navigated cosmic phenomena that defied understanding. But nothing had prepared him for this, the raw, primal fear of a parent whose child was in danger. He pulled up every scrap of data from the Andromeda station's last transmissions, searching for clues. The final sensor logs showed an unknown ship approaching just before communications cut out. Its energy signature didn't match any known species in the galactic database. "Computer, analyze that ship's energy pattern. Find me a match, even a partial one," Adrian commanded. The AI worked silently for a few moments before responding. "Partial match found. Energy signature bears similarities to technology used by the Zeractal Consortium." Adrian's eyes narrowed. The consortium was more myth than fact, a shadowy organization rumored to operate on the fringes of known space. They were said to collect rare specimens and technology from across the galaxy, by any means necessary. If they had Zara, it could only be because of her brilliant mind and her groundbreaking work on adaptive nanobots. The thought of his daughter in their hands made Adrian's blood boil. He opened a channel to his second-in-command, Lyra, I need you to contact every ally we've made over the years. Cash in every favor. We're going up against something big, and we'll need all the help we can get." Lyra's holographic form nodded grimly. "Understood, Captain. I'll start making calls." As the stellar horizon raced through space, Adrian allowed himself a moment of vulnerability. He pulled up a recent photo of Zara, her smile bright and full of life. "Hold on, sweetheart," he whispered. "Dad's coming." The chase begins. The stellar horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Andromeda sector, its hull gleaming under the light of unfamiliar stars. Adrian Chen stood at the helm, his usually jovial face set in grim determination. Around him, a motley crew of humans and aliens worked in perfect synchronization, each driven by loyalty to Adrian and the gravity of their mission. Lyra, his Arcturian second-in-command, approached with a datapad. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed with concern. "I've compiled the team you requested, Adrian. They're awaiting your briefing in the war room." Adrian nodded, taking a deep breath before following Lyra. The war room was packed with an eclectic group, some of the most skilled and unconventional individuals in the galaxy. There was Zix, a Volcran engineer whose 6 arms and quantum-entangled brain made him unparalleled at ship repairs and modifications. Kira Nomura, a human ex-military hacker who could crack any system in existence. Dr. Eloan, a Chlorosian xenobiologist whose plant-based biology allowed her to synthesize any compound imaginable. And lastly, Grix, a towering Cronan warrior whose rocky hide and unshakable loyalty made him the perfect security chief. Adrian surveyed the group, feeling a surge of hope. "Thank you all for coming. As you know, my daughter Zora has been taken by the Zeractal Consortium. Our mission is to get her back, no matter the cost." He brought up a holographic map of the sector. The Consortium's last known trajectory takes them into the Cerulean Nebula. It's a treacherous region, filled with spatial anomalies and gravitational eddies. Conventional ships can't navigate it safely. Zix's multiple eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Conventional ships, yes. But the horizon isn't conventional, is it, Captain?" A ghost of a smile played on Adrian's lips. "No, it's not. Zix, I need you to adapt our shields to withstand the nebula's unique properties. Kira, work on boosting our long-range sensors. We'll need every advantage we can get." As the team dispersed to their tasks, Grix lumbered over to Adrian. His gravelly voice was low. "The Consortium, they are formidable opponents, but they have never faced the wrath of a human father. I look forward to seeing this." Adrian clasped the Cronan's stony shoulder. "Let's hope they're not prepared for any of us." The stellar horizon plunged into the Cerulean Nebula, its modified shields glowing as they repelled the caustic gases and energy discharges. Inside, the crew worked feverishly to keep the ship on course. Kira's voice cut through the tension. "Captain, I'm picking up a faint signal. It's Zora's personal locator beacon." Adrian's heart leaped. "Location? It's weak, but it's coming from the heart of the nebula. There's a stable region there, almost like an eye in a storm." Dr. Eloan's tendrils waved in agitation. "Captain, the nebula's radiation will be lethal to most life forms in prolonged exposure. If Zara is there, then we don't have much time," Adrian finished. "Zix, divert all non-essential power to the engines. We're going in hot." The horizon surged forward, diving deeper into the swirling blue chaos of the nebula. Arcs of energy crackled across the view screen, and more than once the ship shuddered ominously. But Adrian's modifications, combined with Zix's brilliance, kept them moving. As they approached the nebula's center, a massive shape loomed before them. A space station, if it could be called that. It looked more like a twisted sculpture of metal and crystal, defying the laws of physics. By the cosmic cedars, Lyra breathed. "It's beautiful. And deadly," Grix rumbled. "Look." Surrounding the station were dozens of ships, their designs as alien and unsettling as the station itself. The Consortium's fleet. Adrian's jaw clenched. Kira, can you get a scan of that station? Find out where they're keeping Zara. Kira's fingers flew over her console. Working on it, but their security is like nothing I've seen. It's adapting to my probes faster than... Wait, Captain, I'm detecting a power surge from the station. Before Adrian could respond, a beam of searing blue energy lanced out from the station, striking the horizon. The ship rocked violently, alarms blaring. Shields at 60% and falling. Zix shouted, his multiple arms working furiously to reroute power. Adrian gripped his chair, mind racing. They were outgunned and outnumbered. But he hadn't come this far to fail now. Eloan, remember that compound you developed that reacts with cerulear gas? The Chlorosian's eyes widened. Yes, but it's highly unstable. The resulting explosion cold could give us the cover we need. Adrian finished. Synthesize it. Kira, prepare to launch a spread of probes loaded with Eloan's compound. Zix, be ready to push our engines to the limit. As the crew scrambled to enact his plan, Adrian stared at the looming station. Hold on, Zora, he whispered. The real fight's about to begin. Zara's defiance. Zara Chen awoke to a world of crystalline shadows and humming machinery. Her head throbbed, and for a moment, she struggled to remember where she was. Then it all came flooding back. The attack on the research station, the insectoid aliens, the strange mist that had knocked her out. She sat up slowly, taking in her surroundings. The room, if it could be called that, seemed to shift and change as she looked at it, its geometry defying human understanding. Glowing symbols floated in the air, pulsing with an otherworldly light. The door she hadn't noticed before slid open, and one of the insectoid aliens entered. This one was different from her captors, smaller with more delicate features. When it spoke, its voice was surprisingly melodious. You are awake, human child. Good. I am Tixtal, chief scientist of the Zeractal Consortium. You will assist us in our work. Zara's eyes narrowed. I'm not helping you with anything. Where am I? Why did you kidnap me? Sixtal's compound eyes shimmered. You are aboard the Nexus, our central hub of operations. As for why, your work on adaptive nanobots has not gone unnoticed. Such technology could revolutionize our understanding of the universe. So you kidnapped me instead of, I don't know, asking? Zora's voice dripped with sarcasm. The alien scientist made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. The consortium does not ask. We take what we need for the greater good of all species. Zara stood, her fear giving way to anger. That's not your decision to make. My work isn't meant to be a weapon or a tool for whatever it is you're planning. Sixtal moved closer, looming over her. You misunderstand, young one. We are not conquerors. We are preservers. The galaxy is full of wonders that are lost every day to war, to natural disasters, to the simple passage of time. We seek to save what we can, to understand it, to use it to elevate all sentient life. For a moment, Zara was taken aback. The alien's words held a certain logic, a certain nobility even. But then she thought of the fear in the eyes of the research station staff, of the violent way she'd been taken. Noble goals don't justify evil means, she said firmly. I won't help you. Tixtal's mandibles twitched in what might have been a smile. You may not have a choice. Come, let me show you our work. Perhaps then you'll understand. Despite her reservations, Zora's scientific curiosity got the better of her. She followed Sixtal through twisting corridors that seemed to fold in on themselves, defying Euclidean geometry. They passed chambers filled with swirling energies, preserved specimens of creatures she'd never imagined, and technology that made her nanobot research look primitive by comparison. Finally, they entered a vast chamber. At its center floated a pulsing, multidimensional object that hurt Zora's eyes to look at directly. This, Sixtal said reverently, is the Cosmic Codex. All the knowledge we've gathered, all the wonders we've preserved, encoded in a form that transcends ordinary matter and energy. Your nanobots could be the key to unlocking its full potential, to spreading its wisdom across the galaxy. Zara stared at the codex, her mind reeling. The scientific possibilities were staggering. With access to that kind of knowledge, she could solve problems that had puzzled humanity for centuries. She could save lives, advance human understanding by leaps and bounds. But at what cost? It's incredible, she admitted. But I still can't help you. What you're doing, taking people against their will, hoarding knowledge that could benefit everyone, it's wrong. Sixtel's demeanor changed, the alien's body language becoming cold and rigid. I had hoped you would understand. But if you will not cooperate willingly, we have other methods. As if on cue, two larger Zractal entered the chamber, moving to flank Zora. She backed away, her mind racing. She needed a plan, needed to find a way out, to contact her father somehow. Her eyes fell on a control panel near the Cosmic Codex. If she could just reach it, maybe she could send a signal, or at least cause enough chaos to buy herself some time. Zara took a deep breath, centering herself. Then, with a burst of speed that surprised even her, she dove for the panel. Her fingers flew over the alien controls, relying on intuition and her understanding of complex systems. Alarms blared. The Cosmic Codex pulsed erratically, and for a brief, shining moment, Zara felt a connection to something vast and incomprehensible, the sum total of the consortium's knowledge. Then rough hands grabbed her, pulling her away. But it was too late. In that moment of connection, Zara had done two crucial things. She'd sent out a burst transmission that she hoped would reach her father, and she'd absorbed just enough information to understand the true nature of the consortium's work. As the Zractal dragged her away, Zara allowed herself a small, defiant smile. She might be a prisoner, but she was far from helpless. And now, armed with knowledge and a growing understanding of her captors, she was more dangerous than ever. The game had changed. The consortium thought they had captured a simple human child. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Battle at the edge. The Cerulean Nebula erupted in a dazzling display of color and light as the probes loaded with Dr. Eloan's compound detonated. The resulting chemical reaction sent shockwaves through the gaseous clouds, temporarily blinding sensors and disrupting shield harmonics across the consortium fleet. Adrian Chen seized the moment. Now 6. Full power to engines. The stellar horizon surged forward, its modified shields barely holding against the nebula's corrosive effects. They streaked past the disoriented consortium ships, making a beeline for the twisted spire of the Nexus station. "Captain," Kira called out, her voice tense with excitement. "I'm detecting a signal. It's weak, but it's definitely from Zara. She's alive, and she's transmitting data." Adrian's heart soared, but he kept his voice steady. "Can you pinpoint her location?" Kira's fingers danced across her console. "Working on it. The station's internal structure is like nothing Kira's fingers danced across her console. "Working on it. The station's internal structure is like nothing I've ever seen. It's shifting, but I think I can narrow it down to a general area." "Good enough," Adrian nodded. "Grix, prepare a boarding team. We're going in." The Cronin warrior grinned, his rocky features cracking into a fearsome smile. "With pleasure, Captain." As they approached the Nexus, the consortium's fleet began to regroup. Energy weapons lanced out, striking the horizon's shields. Shields at 40% and dropping. Zix shouted, his multiple arms working furiously to reroute power. Adrian gritted his teeth. "Eloan, do you have any more tricks up your sleeve?" The Chlorosian scientist's leaves rustled with excitement. "Perhaps. The nebula's unique properties, if we could harness them, create a feedback loop in their weapon systems." "Do it," Adrian commanded. As Eloan and Zix worked to implement their desperate plan, the horizon weaved through the enemy fire, inching closer to the Nexus. Adrian could see the docking bay now, a yawning maw in the twisted metal of the station. Suddenly, a massive consortium dreadnought moved to block their path. Its weapons powered up, promising certain destruction. "Eloan, we're out of time," Adrian shouted. "Now," the Chlorosian yelled back. A pulse of energy shot out from the horizon, seemingly harmless. But as it struck the dreadnought, something extraordinary happened. The energy cascaded across the larger ship's hull, feeding back into its weapons systems. In a spectacular chain reaction, the dreadnought's own firepower turned against it, ripping the ship apart from the inside. The path to the Nexus was clear. Braced for impact, Adrian called out as he piloted the Horizon into the docking bay, the ship screeching to a halt amidst showers of sparks. Grix was first out of the airlock, his massive form providing cover for the rest of the boarding team. Adrian followed close behind, his eyes scanning for any sign of his daughter. They fought their way through twisting corridors that seemed to defy logic, facing off against insectoid Dractyl warriors and automated defense systems. Adrian's team moved with practiced precision, their diverse skills complementing each other perfectly. As they pushed deeper into the station, Adrian couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The resistance they faced was fierce, but somehow predictable, almost as if, "It's a trap," he yelled, just as a massive energy field sprang to life around them, cutting the team off from escape. A holographic image flickered to life in front of them. It was a Dractyl, but unlike any they'd seen before. Its exoskeleton was adorned with intricate patterns, and its eyes glowed with an unsettling intelligence. "Adrian Chen," the alien's voice reverberated through the chamber. "I am Vexalia, overseer of the Dractyl Consortium. Your reputation precedes you, but I'm afraid your rescue mission ends here." Adrian stepped forward, his voice steady despite the dire situation. "Where is my daughter?" Vexalia's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "Your offspring is safe for now. Her mind is impressive. She will be a valuable addition to our collective." "You're wrong," Adrian said, a hint of pride in his voice. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." As if on cue, the lights in the chamber flickered. The energy field constraining them wavered for a moment before collapsing entirely. Vexalia's hologram looked around in confusion. "Impossible. How did you?" The hologram cut out, replaced by a new one. Adrian's heart leaped as he saw his daughter's face, her eyes bright with determination. "Dad." Zora's voice came through, tinged with static. "I've managed to access their systems, but I can't hold it for long. I'm sending you my location now. Hurry." As the hologram faded, Adrian turned to his team, a new fire in his eyes. "You heard her. Let's move." They raced through the station, following Zora's directions. The consortium's forces seemed to be in disarray, their coordinated defense falling apart as Zora wreaked havoc on their systems from within. Finally, they reached a massive chamber dominated by a pulsing, multidimensional object, and there, standing defiantly before a group of Dractyl scientists, was Zora. "Step away from my daughter," Adrian growled, his weapon trained on the aliens. Zora turned, her face lighting up. "Dad." As she ran towards him, one of the Dractyl, a smaller one with more delicate features, called out, "Wait, you don't understand what's at stake here." But Adrian wasn't listening. He embraced Zora tightly, feeling the tension of the past days melt away. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" Zora shook her head. "I'm fine, Dad. But listen, there's something you need to know about the consortium. They're not what we thought." "The Cosmic Codex." Her words were cut off by a deafening alarm. The chamber shook violently, and the pulsing object, the Cosmic Codex, began to glow with an intense, otherworldly light. "What's happening?" Adrian shouted over the noise. The delicate Dractyl scientist, Sixtal, approached cautiously. "The Codex is destabilizing. Without proper containment, it could tear this entire sector of space apart." Adrian looked from the alien to his daughter, seeing the same worried expression on both their faces. He realized that the situation had just become far more complex than a simple rescue mission. The fate of not just Zara, but potentially the entire galaxy, now hung in the balance, and the line between friend and foe had suddenly become very, very blurry. Part 5. Humanity's Stand. The Cosmic Codex pulsed with increasing intensity, its multidimensional form warping the very fabric of space around it. Alarms blared throughout the Nexus station as systems began to fail, unable to contain the raw power being unleashed. Adrian Chen stood at the center of the chaos, his mind racing. On one side stood his daughter Zora, safe but clearly troubled. On the other, the Galactic scientists, their alien features twisted with fear and desperation. And between them all, the Codex, a ticking time bomb of cosmic proportions. "Dad," Zora said urgently, "we can't let the Codex be destroyed. The knowledge it contains, it's beyond anything we've ever imagined. It could revolutionize everything we know about the universe." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "And we're just supposed to trust the aliens who kidnapped you." Hixtol, the lead Zractal scientist, stepped forward cautiously. "Human, I understand your anger, but your daughter speaks the truth. The Codex is the culmination of eons of gathered knowledge from across the galaxy. Its loss would set all sentient life back by millennia." Another violent tremor shook the chamber. Cracks began to appear in the walls, glowing with the same otherworldly energy as the Codex. "We're running out of time," Grix rumbled, his stony fingers tightening on his weapon. Adrian looked at his daughter, seeing the determination in her eyes. He made his decision. "All right, what do we need to do?" Zara's face lit up. She turned to Hixtol. "The containment field. We need to stabilize it, right?" The alien nodded. "Yes, but our systems are failing. We don't have the power or the technology to." "Yes, we do," Zara interrupted. She looked at her father. "Dad, remember my nanobot research. I think I can adapt it to interface with the Codex, create a new kind of containment field." Adrian's eyes widened as he understood. "Zix," he called out to his engineer. "Get back to the horizon. We need Zora's research data, and we need it now." Minutes felt like hours as they worked. The Codex's pulses grew stronger, each one threatening to tear the station apart. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Zix returned, Zora's data in hand. "This is it," Zora said, her voice tense with concentration. "Initiating the nanobot swarm. Now." A cloud of microscopic robots poured forth, surrounding the Codex in a shimmering field. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the violent pulses began to subside. The otherworldly glow dimmed, settling into a steady, manageable light. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the chamber. Adrian pulled Zora into a tight embrace. "You did it, sweetheart. You saved us all." But their relief was short-lived. A slow clap echoed through the chamber, and all eyes turned to see Vex'ahlia, the overseer of the consortium, enter with a contingent of guards. "Impressive," the alien leader said, her voice cold. "But did you really think we would let you walk away with the Codex? It belongs to the consortium. We will decide how its knowledge is used." Adrian stepped in front of Zora, his team forming a protective circle around them. "The Codex doesn't belong to anyone. Knowledge like this, it needs to be shared, not hoarded." Vex'ahlia's eyes narrowed. "You may fool. The galaxy is a dangerous place. This knowledge in the wrong hands could bring about untold destruction. And in your hands." Zara spoke up, her voice strong. "You kidnap people, take what you want by force. How are you any better?" Tense silence fell over the chamber. The two groups stood opposed, weapons at the ready. It seemed that after everything, it would still come down to a fight. But then, something extraordinary happened. The Cosmic Codex, now stabilized by Zora's nanobots, began to glow with a soft, warm light. Tendrils of energy reached out, touching each person in the room. Adrian gasped as his mind was suddenly filled with visions. The birth of stars, the evolution of countless species, the rise and fall of civilizations across the cosmos. He could see that everyone, human and Geractal alike, was experiencing the same thing. As the visions faded, Adrian looked around the room. The hostility had drained from Vexilia's posture. The Geractal guards had lowered their weapons. Everyone stood in awe of what they had just experienced. Zara stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm. This is what the Codex is meant for. Not to be used as a weapon or a bargaining chip, but to bring understanding. To show us that we're all part of something greater. Vexilia was silent for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, she bowed her head. Perhaps we have lost our way. The consortium was formed to preserve knowledge, not to hoard it. We forgot our true purpose. Adrian put a hand on Zora's shoulder, swelling with pride. So where do we go from here? It was Sixtal who answered. We work together. Humans, Geractal, and any other species willing to join us. We study the Codex, unlock its secrets, and share that knowledge with the galaxy. As murmurs of agreement filled the chamber, Adrian couldn't help but smile. They had come here to rescue Zora, but in the process, they might have just changed the course of galactic history. As the stellar horizon prepared to depart the Nexus station, now transformed into a center of intergalactic cooperation, Adrian found Zora on the observation deck, staring out at the swirling colors of the Cerulean Nebula. "Ready to go home?" he asked, joining her at the viewport. Zara smiled, but there was a new depth to her eyes. "You know, Dad, I think our definition of home just got a whole lot bigger." Adrian chuckled, putting an arm around his daughter's shoulders. As the horizon pulled away from the station, he marveled at how much had changed. They had come seeking a rescue, and instead found a new beginning, not just for them, but for all of humanity. The stars stretched into lines of light as they entered faster than light travel, and somewhere out there, Adrian knew, new adventures were waiting. But whatever challenges the universe had in store, he was certain of one thing: humanity was ready to face them, standing tall among the stars.